Okay, so this is another option if you wanted to just paint the character in Photoshop. So I'm just kind of going to go through. So this is he's finished, he's modelled, and I had put automatic UVs on to bring him into Mudbox, but that's not working because I don't have Mudbox. So now what do I do? So to paint him in Photoshop, if I look at my UV editor, so I could try and bring, you know, an image of this into Photoshop and work on it. You know, I can make out that that's the side, that's the hands, that's the leg. You know, so I basically would paint over this in Photoshop, kind of like you know, I'd bring a layer in and paint over it, and if I save that, it saves out in the same position. So this one I've kind of modified to make it look more like a overall shape, but you know what I mean, I could bring this out, and that would be a matter of saying imaged UV snapshot, save all that, and it'll actually save it out as a JPEG. It'll save this particular image as a square size, and if I just paint over that in a different layer, take away this layer and throw it back on the character, it'll fall on this. There's a lot of bits and pieces, so that's why it's difficult to do it like that. So in order to do it a bit more simply, I would have to unwrap my character. So I'm going to do quite a basic, just, you know, because this is kind of a skill in its own. You can be hired to do this. This can be a job, basically, is unwrapping, painting and wrapping textures. And it's good, and it's very useful. It's just time is not on our side at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm looking at my character in the side view, right click, face, and select all the faces, try and select them all on the front half. I think I'll just go as far as there. So, you know, I'm gonna pick my point that I want to take up. So I'm gonna go there. I'm adding them. I'm adding them. I'm gonna add all of them. So see, I'm consciously creating a seam. Now I've missed one or two, so I'm going to have to go around and manually pick them. I didn't do too bad actually. So I'm kind of trying to pick the front half, as if he was like a chocolate mold that I'm moulding him in two halves, the front and the back. So I'm trying to pick the front half. It's not really ideal for fingers and fiddly bits, but we'll give it a go and see how it comes out. I don't want that. I want that. So I'm manually filling or picking up the pieces and deselecting anything that is not on the right side, like that. Okay, so I've got most of it, I think. Okay, so then up around the head, I think I'll go all the way up to before the horn starts to form there. Oops. Same on this side, and not those two. Actually, I'm going to take, I tell a lie, I'm going to take the front of the horns too. Now I know it deselected some at the bottom there, but that's okay, I'll get them named. And the same on the other one. I could have had my symmetry on actually to select all of these and it would have worked. So kind of keep checking because I'm obviously, I don't want that or that or that. So just whenever I do a click and drag to select, I'm selecting things on the front. That's what's happening here. So just be careful when you're selecting. Okay, oh, I thought I was good to go. Right. So after painstakingly selecting the entire front, I'm actually going to make a selection set just so I can pick that selection up easily again if I need to. You don't need to do this, but I'm just going to select, create a set, quick select set. I'll just call it front. So it's just to have that selection set, so if I lose it I don't have to do it again. So I'm opening my UV editor so I can see, and I can see all those faces selected there. But what I want to do now is in the UV editor I'm going to go planar, the settings of planar, and I want to project it the direction that the arrow is going through him, so that would be Z, so the Z axis, and project. So you can see this box has appeared and now he's looking more like a, you know, the front of himself. So I can just kind of move that over there for a minute. Now I'm just moving it over there for a minute because everything has to fit inside this 1x1 box. That's the other thing with UVs. So those faces are still selected, the ones I've already selected, so I'm going to go up here to select and inverse. So it should select the ones that are not selected, so that means I don't have to go through and pick them all up again, which is good. Oh. Yeah, okay, I can still do this. So UV, planar, the settings of planar, and again it's still the Z axis because it's the Z that's going through them, and project. So I now have a front and a back. Now where the issues are going to be is probably around his mouth. I could you know, take out the UVs out of there, but I'm trying to keep this simple. So I have a UV on the front and a UV on the back. So I'm going to select these two UVs and I'm going to use my scale tool, just my regular scale tool, and scale them down a bit. And then move one kind of there. So I have to fit the two of them in this space. Now I'd say this is my mouth. So I'm just going to leave that separate. I'll just leave it there for now. I could probably afford to scale them up a little bit more, so I'm going to select the two of them. Just scale it up a little bit, and now I can move them. As long as they're inside this line and that line, no part of them kind of sticking out. I'm going to select the two of them and just make them more, you know, the shape they should be, so they're a bit, he's more like that. And now again I have to move them because that's crossing that line and this is crossing the other line, so I need to pull it in. And they also can't overlap each other, so that no faces can overlap each other in here. So the mouth, I could try and do something as in shift right click, unfold and unfold. That might make it a bit more user friendly, but again, as I say, this is quite a crude UV on it. So what I'm going to do then with this is image, UV snapshot. It'll call it this name. I'm just going to call it UV2 because I've already made one. Image format is JPEG. The size, I'll let it do that 248 by 248 and apply and close. Oops. Did I not? Image, UV snapshot. Apply close. Okay, so I have to actually select them. So I can minimize, that's my UV editor. I'm going to save as, so save my Maya file. Just so I know the difference, just in case. Opening up Photoshop, I just go to a new, I'll just do a new file. It doesn't really matter because I'm going to be opening the other one actually, so I don't even need to do new. So open, so find where I save that out, so there it is there, out UV2, open, and this is it. Image, adjust, if I say yeah, if I image adjust and the hue saturation and just up the lightness. See, I'm kind of just getting rid of the black background. And then make a new layer. You can make your layer multiply or whatever is working. So my paint, pick a color, start painting. So I paint over the monster, so this is going to be his base color. And it doesn't matter if it bleeds over the edges because that's what's kind of going to wrap around, so it doesn't really matter how it goes over. And then inside his mouth, if I wanted that to be a different colour, I don't know if I do, but I probably wouldn't. I'd make that green too, so not to stand it out so that it's wrong. And then I can paint on any detail. Like red spots maybe. I don't know why I'm multiply, that's not great, is it? Actually, I could even do normal and just bring down the opacity so I can see it. You know, so I paint whatever detail I want on it, you know. I'm imagining you spend a bit more time on that. So paint your detail, and I can even paint around the mouth, you know, with whatever. I don't even need to. Just to show how it'll land on him. Say I give him lipstick. There, you get the idea. You just kind of paint them up in here. So I can bring my opacity back up. So the only layer I'm really interested in is paint one. I don't need the other one. So I can, let me delete it. And then file, save this. So this is the painted layer that I want. Save as. Put it, if I put it into the right place now, at least I'll know where it is. So documents, Maya, projects, 2C, source images, and I want to save it as a JPEG, and I'll call it Skin Photoshop 1. Okay, and then if I go into Maya, let's go back to my object mode, go into my material editor, assign a new Lambert, select my Lambert, come over to color, beside color, there's a black and white checker box, file, image name, and find the file, so it's in the source images. Skin Monster Photoshop, open. And if it doesn't, it looks wrong here, but it's okay. If I right click on that, refresh squash, it's just because it's a big file. So select my monster, right click, assign material to selection. What? I think what's happening here is my graphics card issue. There's something going on with my machine. But that image should land on him. That's a bit disappointing. If I look at my editor. Yeah, you can see it's landing there, so it's landing on the right places on him. And again, this is a display thing with my machine at the moment. So hopefully that'll help. That just gives you another option to paint it without Mudbox.